Good morning. Today on Spotlight, an in-depth look at United Way's multi-million-dollar regional community investment to strengthen Southeast Michigan's safety net to enhance the lives of our children and create pathways to economic success. Our guest, Tanya Adair, Chief Impact Officer for United Way. And later, remembering two American business titans. It's Sunday, July the 14th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. And welcome to Spotlight down here at the Cube, our home away from home. And our guest today, it's her first time on Spotlight, but certainly looking forward to this conversation because she is affiliated with one of our most important organizations in Southeast Michigan. Tanya Adair, welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you so much, Chuck. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I'm excited about the opportunity to share what we're doing at United Way for Southeastern Michigan.
Well, and for what I understand, you're doing an awful lot. But I want to back up before we get into all the United Way. First of all, I love your title, Chief Impact Officer. That's a good one. Did you get to pick that one yourself?
I did not. I did not. It's the position that I applied for. Yes.
Yeah, that's a great thing. A little bit about yourself so people get a little background on you. You're relatively new to the Metro Detroit area. You came from?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I started at United Way on November 1st. I moved to the area the last week of October. So it's been a really smooth transition. It's been wonderful. So in Milwaukee, I served most recently as the Chief Academic Officer for Milwaukee Public Schools, but I've been in several positions for the last 21 years in Milwaukee, from a teacher to high school principal, which was my all-time favorite job.
Really? Why is that?
I just loved being with the young people and helping them steer their lives for life after high school, because we all know that the 4 years is a process, but we're preparing them for what happens next. And I just love the opportunity. I was at a turnaround school, and we were able to do a lot of work to turn the culture around at the school and put young people in a place to where they can go on to college and careers and succeed. So that was exciting about being a principal.
Good. Well, we're going to talk about young people a lot as part of this program in just a little bit. You're originally from Monroe, Louisiana?
Monroe, Louisiana, yes. Yes, and I'm a graduate of Grambling State University, which is about 20 miles or so from Monroe.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, very prominent HBCU and a great band, great football team, and great academics.
And great academics.
Yeah. And a lot of rivalry with some of those other schools like Jackson State, right? All right, let's talk about United Way has come out with a program and break it down for us, because I know that you've done a $5 million impact, but there's also overall a $30 million. Let's start with the $5 million and the latest that you've done there at United Way and what impact you're trying to have on Southeast Michigan.
Okay, so our most recent investments, thanks to the many partners who donate and individuals who donate to United Way, our latest investments has been centered around a collective effort of addressing health and basic needs, education, as well as economic prosperity. And so we've provided job training opportunities through our partners that we serve, through our partners that we've invested in, job opportunities for individuals. We're addressing food insecurities. We want to make sure that our children have something to do this summer. So our summer STEM program, we want to make sure that everyone has access to food and other health needs that are encompassed within our city. So we get calls into our 211 call center that talk about the needs of the community, or that are addressing the needs of the community. And so we wanted to make sure that we were data driven and addressing those needs. In addition to, we were looking at other reports that we've issued out. We'll talk a little bit about the ALICE report, which stands for Asset.
Yeah, what does it stand for? When I first saw it, I was like, who's she?
Yeah, who is she? Right. So ALICE stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. So basically, it's looking at the working adults of at least two in the family who are working, as well as those who have young people who are struggling to meet their basic needs based on the economy. And so they are working. They've done the things that we've said: go out and find a job, or go and get post-secondary education so that you can find a job. But yet their income is not enough for them to thrive in the community.
And is that, I would imagine that that's a pretty popular phenomenon right now, that people are working, both parents in a household oftentimes are working, good jobs, but the income
it's still
from
not
the
enough.
two of them still is not enough to meet the
enough.
needs of that family
Yes.
at a standard and a level that people want to say is middle class and comfortable.
Yes. According to the Alice report that is produced for United Way, at least 44% of households in southeastern Michigan are in that category where they are unable.
That's a huge number, Tanya Adair.
That's a huge number, and over 60 cities within our communities are struggling to meet their basic needs, with at least 50% in those cities.
And that's not just in the city of Detroit proper, that's throughout the Southeast Michigan region, Oakland, Wayne, Macomb counties.
Yes. Yes.
All right. I understand that figure, that 44% figure, that has increased since 2017?
That has increased, and it's shown a continuous increase since 2010, since the report started to generate.
What do you think is fueling that?
So the economy in itself, well, we
keep
the
hearing
cost of living.
The economy is great.
Yeah.
You know, this is the greatest economy in the last 20 years, what have you.
Well, what we've seen is the economy is, the cost of living is going up. However, income in most cases are not. And so that causes the strain, that causes this gap where you see in individuals not being able to keep up with the rise in the cost of living.
All right, we're going to take a little break there, let you catch your breath here,
Okay.
and we'll come right back with some
Okay.
more questions to Tanya Adair. We hope you stay with us. And welcome back to Spotlight. I'm talking to Tanya Adair. She's the Chief Impact Officer at United Way for Southeast Michigan. Let me ask you, there are three kind of major pillars that you've already touched on, but I want to drill down a little bit more if we can. Okay, education, economic prosperity, and health.
Yeah.
When you sit with your colleagues at United Way and you say, okay, we need to figure out our pillars, our goals, whatever you want to call them. How did you derive at those three areas, and how much competition between the three?
So the health includes our basic needs, which is a social determinant of health, as well as the education pillars have been around for some time. The economic prosperity is the third pillar, and it's kind of newer to United Way, but it's based on the needs that we've seen in the community. We're right now in the middle of developing our strategic planning process as well, and going through that to determine, and talking to community members, talking to corporate organizations, just to determine, are we still on the right path? Are we still addressing the right needs?
And what kind of timetable is there for that, or have you even outlined that yet, or is this just the beginning of a long process?
It's the beginning of a long process. We're looking to have some answers in January.
Okay.
But hopefully we'll have everything completed by then, so that we can continue. We have developed other groups, subgroups to help us kind of figure this out. We're starting the Community Impact Council, which includes some of our board members, as well as community organizations and community members that are going to come and just kind of help us figure out our strategy moving forward.
Okay, all right. And then the economic prosperity side, what all does that encompass?
So that encompasses job trainings, so funding organizations that are completing job trainings for individuals, or foundational skills, providing those skills to help prepare adults, young adults and adults, for the next job opportunities, and helping them with the skills that are needed, what we usually call soft skills,
right.
But helping them with those skills to prepare them to go into self-sustaining jobs.
Okay. Is workforce development part of that, and what we're hearing a lot of right now, and that is making sure that we're getting young people who are in the vocational schools,
Yes.
whether it's the Randolph School or it's other schools, so that they can do things with their hands, get into the manufacturing world, but from a high tech and STEM, which of course is
Yes.
something that you all have been focused in on.
Yes, so that workforce development is one of the pathways that we're using to help prepare our young people. And so we have the workforce development that's a part of the academy programs in the high school, but also an adult program. Right now, one of our focuses is on women and addressing women in welding. And so we are funding, providing resources and opportunities for those young people to actually go into jobs that are typically unusual for them, but it is helping to prepare them for those opportunities.
Right. I was talking to some union leaders a couple months ago when we were all up on Mackinac Island for the Mackinac Policy Conference, and one of the things they were trying to emphasize is the fact that they can't find enough young people with the skilled trades to meet the needs of all the development that's going on in Detroit and Metro Detroit right now. They're working closely with some of the major corporations and some of the nonprofits and of course the Detroit public school system to be able to get up to speed, but it's a real challenge.
It's a
and
real
part
challenge.
of it is educating, I guess, letting young people know that these are good paying six-figure salary jobs, but you've got to have the skills.
Yes, you've got to have the skills, and that's a part of what we do with our education track. We have education directors within United Way that are working directly with Detroit Public Schools to help with the academy focus programs, and so they're going in and finding the organizations or the industries that will come in and help to prepare those opportunities for training for the young people while they're in school.
Right. In order to achieve all the goals that United Way is doing, you partner with a lot of different agencies. I think I saw a figure of something like 200 different agencies. How do you decide on those agencies, and if people think that they want to be a part of that, how do they reach out to United Way?
So that's I'm so glad you asked that question, because that's really a great opportunity. The 200 that you probably saw was the latest in our recent RFP process, our request for proposals process.
Right.
And so there were 200 organizations that applied, but we were able to fund 61 of those. But we partner with several agencies throughout. We have over 700 agency partners throughout southeastern Michigan that we work with. And anyone that wants to be a part of that can reach out to on our website. There's information on how to apply during our RFP process, as well as just if you want more information, and that's at the www.unitedwaysem.org. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. We'll get it on the screen so that people have it as well. All right, we're going to take another little break. We'll come back with a final segment and talk about a lot more things with United Way's Chief Impact Officer.
Yes.
Stay with us. Tanya Adair, $30 million, that's what United Way has spent in terms of its overall impact. That's for the entire Tri-C area, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb?
Yes, Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb County. That's been within this fiscal year, which ended June 30th. A new fiscal year began July 1st. Which is why we closed out that session, the fiscal year, with a new request for proposals, which that $5 million went into, and to add to, and included within that $30 million.
Sure.
And so that is for Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. We do have separate organizations that we call from Detroit, although it's a part of Wayne. Because of the need in Detroit, we do have specifics based on Detroit, but we have spread throughout the Tri-County areas, and we're doing more in other counties as well.
Yeah. Everybody is talking about the resurgence of Detroit, the development that's going on, coupled with the regentrification and all those other things that not just Detroit is facing, but all major cities that are trying to reinvent themselves, or as people are moving back into the urban core. Any idea how we may compare to other major cities our size in terms of creating that safety net? Because on the one hand, people look out and they say, oh, everything's got to be great. Look at all this happening. But you know, because you're getting those calls, that there's also that part of our society that's not doing so great, or they're just trying to keep up with everything. And if we don't address that, then we may mess up everything else that's going on.
Right. So based on just what I've seen, particularly coming from Milwaukee, it's very similar results. Detroit and Milwaukee
Similar
are
cities.
very, very similar. The Alice report that we spoke about earlier actually is created within other cities as well, and it's showing pretty much the same results or very close results as to the amount of people that are struggling in our communities.
Okay. Have you had a chance to sit down with Dr. Vitti of the Detroit Public Schools yet?
I have for a moment. We had a short time together.
Okay.
I've also met with his staff, and we're addressing some of the needs that they have as well.
All right.
But we're also looking at other counties and talking to the superintendents from those areas.
Yeah. I know education is a key part of your background.
Yes.
In the midst of all of these things that you're trying to do and keeping up with your job as Chief Impact Officer, I hear you're working on your PhD too?
I am.
Oh, you're a glutton for punishment,
I
aren't you?
am, definitely. Yes, so from Cardinal Stritch University in Milwaukee is where I started the program, and right now I'm just trying to complete the dissertation.
Right.
It's been a rough
When do you
road.
find the time to even do it?
In the evenings, on weekends.
Okay.
I have a dull life right now. Really
Well, it's
dull
summertime.
life.
We got to make sure you at least get out
Exactly.
and go to the Jazz Fest,
Yes.
some of the other things that are going on. Why do you want to do this? Because I know it feeds so much into what you're doing and what United Way is doing, but I assume that you're figuring this is going to prepare you even more for the challenges ahead.
So I began the program when I was a high school principal. I began it in language and literacy because I was really concerned about the literacy skills of our young people. I was concerned about the narrative around, the young people can't read. So I wanted to learn more, and it was a little out of my box because I've been in administration for so many years. And so I wanted to learn more about why they are struggling to read, or why the narrative is that they're struggling to read, and finding out that there are so many different aspects to how young people get to the point where they're struggling to read, be it the lifestyles at home, around the area, the community. Poverty plays a major role in the learning for young people, and just dealing with other issues that have nothing to do with education that play a major role in affecting their ability to learn.
Two final questions. There are corporate execs and others out there watching this show right now, and they're wondering, should I get involved with, should I contribute to the United Way? What would you say to them?
I'm so glad you asked that question. One of the reasons why we have corporate execs now that invest in United Way, because they like our vetting process. There are so many organizations out here doing a lot of wonderful things, but we take the time to really vet those organizations and look at the needs of the community based on, again, the data that we're receiving in our 211 calls, based on what the community is saying that we need. And we vet those organizations and really try to get investments out into the community that are addressing those needs.
Great. When I was up at the Mackinac Conference, one thing that I kept hearing from, whether it was Sandy Brewer, leader of the Detroit Regional Chamber, or it was Dr. Bill Pink over on the west side of the state with the Grand Rapids Community College, or there were others, or Dr. Vitti was saying that Michigan is slipping in terms of education, not just in our major urban areas, but across the state. And if we aren't careful, then we're going to be way behind the 8 ball, and we are not a top 10 education state as of right now, even though everybody talks about trying to get there. You agree? Do you think they were right on target with that?
Yeah, I agree. Based on the data that I've seen overall, even when we were in Milwaukee, Milwaukee had some struggles as well, but one of the things that we continued to saw was Detroit on that list of struggling districts. And so definitely they are on track with what's going on, and in that there needs to be a way that we can help Detroit thrive educationally.
The good news, they all said, out of that dismal news is the fact that everybody now recognizes the problem and is talking about the problem, and is no longer pointing fingers saying, okay, Detroit is just your problem, or Grand Rapids is just your problem. It's now everybody's problem.
It's now everybody's problem. And I was at Mackinac as well, and was, that was enlightening to hear all the conversations about, what we have to do in order to turn this problem around in Michigan.
All right. Last round, I promised two. This will be our third one, and I promise. Vicky's sitting out there probably saying, you promised two is last one. As a newcomer to this region, your overall reaction? Pro and con. What do you see that you really like, and what do you see that, Detroit, you got to work on that?
Let me say this. I was in Milwaukee for 21 years, and I've not felt more at home than I feel right now here in Detroit.
That's good news.
So I was definitely excited about the opportunity to come, but once I got here, the energy is electric. And I'm seeing so many opportunities to connect with individuals to make a true difference. Everybody's excited about what's going on in Detroit, but everybody is on board and excited about making a difference in the city as well. And in the southeastern Michigan region, I've traveled to all of the counties that we serve, and I've seen pretty much the same thing. People are excited and ready to do something different, ready to make a change, and that much I'm loving to see. I've met with partners, and I want to add that the work that we do is not in isolation. We have so many partners that are pouring into us and to help invest in the community, and so I want to make sure that I point that out as well. But what I'm seeing is electric.
Good, that's good news. And your CEO, she's good?
Oh, she's doing great.
All right, give her our best.
I will.
All right, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And when we come back, we'll talk about two American business titans who left us this past week. We'll be right back. They were legendary American businessmen, Lee Iacocca and Ross Perot. They left this past week at age 94 and 89, respectively. Perot, the business magnate, billionaire, philanthropist, and politician who ran unsuccessfully for U.S. president. But his reputation as the founder and CEO of EDS is well cemented. Iacocca, the American automobile executive who rose and fell within the Ford Motor Company.
He could sell anybody anything, and he realized that the Mustang would be a hit because it created the pony market, the pony car. The Mustang sold over 1 million the first year, and then suddenly GM had the Camaro.
And then Phoenix-like, he saved and recharged the Chrysler Corporation.
It's no secret that foreign competitors have been giving American car makers a real beating. About 5 years ago, we decided enough is enough. This is where it stops.
The administration-backed plan to bail out the company drew fire today at Senate Banking Committee hearings.
If you can find a better car, buy it.
Lee Iacocca was the right man at the right time in the right place. He helped save thousands of jobs in the United States and in Michigan and Detroit, and we will be forever grateful.
Lee Iacocca and Ross Perot. Special thanks to Tanya Adair. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. We hope you have a great week.